Hello, Rob Dabrowski, the editor of the Biomedical Scientist magazine here. Welcome to the latest episode of the IBMS Chat podcast. Each instalment is based on the Twitter Spaces discussions that take place on the first, or sometimes second Wednesday of every month. In this slightly shorter than usual episode, we're joined by two of the team that won the Partnership Working Award at last year's IBMS Awards. They did so for a collaborative multidisciplinary pre- and post-registration programme that was aimed at providing the Ministry of Defence with professionally registered military biomedical scientists. Remember that this podcast can be used for your CPD, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, we're going to be talking about partnership working in biomedical science with Rohini Patel from University Hospitals Birmingham and Captain Francis Opoku from the Centre of Defence Pathology. So first off, Rohini, can you introduce yourself and just tell us a bit about your background and how you got into the position that you are currently, please?
Okay, it's been a few decades, Rob, but no, firstly, thank you for having me. And so I'm Rohini Patel. I'm a biomedical scientist by background, qualified about 30 years ago, and probably one of the first entrants via the degree route. Once that was established, trained in Brighton, and then came to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And I've really been across Birmingham and Solihull for the last 30 years, working across QE and Heartlands Hospital. I progressed from being a trainee to a basic grade, what they used to call a medical laboratory scientific officer in those days. And then later in my career, the protected title was established, which was absolutely fantastic for the biomedical science workforce to be recognised as scientists. And as of 2020, following coming out of the laboratory setting, I've been working as pan-pathology training lead across UHB pathology, and that's where my journey with the defence sector, I think, started. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And can you tell us a bit about your role in this project and what you were responsible for?
Okay, so I look after the NHS arm in this particular partnership. And like I said, for me, the journey started in 2020, although Queen Elizabeth were actually offering training to biomedical science workforce from the defence sector prior to my arrival. But what my role has involved is really formulating a prescribed strategy for my team to actually help deliver on the requirements that defence have in respect of biomedical science training. So what we've done is established a committee which comprises members from both sectors. We meet monthly to discuss the strategy, the process, and obviously we regularly evaluate what we deliver as well. And in that process, it involves obviously evaluation of each of the placements progress as well. And we deliver on portfolio standards, the IBMS registration portfolio standards, to ensure that there's quality in what both arms are wanting and delivering.
Brilliant. It sounds like it was quite a collaborative kind of project.
Oh, most definitely. Obviously, there is a formal contract in place between both arms now, with expectations quite clearly defined. And what that's helped us do is work on distributing the responsibility, the roles and responsibilities to ensure there's, effective delivery, effective timely delivery.
Brilliant. And has it all gone quite smoothly all the way through the project, Rohini, or were there any particular challenges that you had to face and overcome? I imagine it's not completely straightforward with such a project.
No, you're quite right there, Rob. I think I'd like to say it was all very smooth, but we have had challenges. And if anything, I think through those challenges, we've undergone a process of learning and refining what we deliver. And that has actually been the beauty of the collaboration, in that both arms have learned and we've refined delivery. And I would say we're at a point where now I think it's pretty slick, but obviously we're always undertaking learning as requirements evolve. So, yeah.
And you won an IBMS award for this project. What do you think made this work in particular stand out from the rest of the pack?
I think it was the multidisciplinary component, actually. That is pretty much unique, based on my career anyway, for defence sector. We'd gone down a road of very much training people in specific specialities for the full duration of that portfolio, whereas defence sector require rotation across haematology, transfusion, biochemistry, and microbiology, which was something we weren't used to. So we put that in place, working together, and then obviously distributing that workload fairly across those disciplines, because I'm sure the audience would appreciate that we've had to juggle the training of our own NHS staff alongside the requirements of defence sector as well. So there's been tweaking of what we deliver, and then obviously the sharing of exercises to make sure they are truly generic and not bespoke to any particular discipline. But that's how we've worked it. And I do have a team of NHS training officers which are instrumental in the delivery of training to defence sector. And without them on this collaboration, I'm afraid myself on my own, it wouldn't work.
Brilliant. And what advice would you give to other people who are entering into either some partnership working or a collaborative project like this? Is there anything from your experiences that you'd kind of pass on and say, this is an important thing to focus on, or this is an important thing to remember?
I think from my perspective, I would say effective, timely engagement is key. It's that communication stream, isn't it? That's essential to ensure that there's transparency in what we do. There's that discussion to ensure that any pitfalls that we may not have seen could be sort of aired and try to be addressed by that committee of experts around a table. And then obviously timely action taking and turnaround of those actions has been key. And that's what I would suggest, really: open, honest, transparent communications and frequent communications, I think, are key for any collaboration.
Brilliant. Rohini, thank you so much. I'm going to move over to Francis now, if that's okay. Francis, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into your current position, please?
Thank you, Rob. So for me, my journey started. I did most of my education up to university level in Ghana. So left university in 2002, found myself in the UK, and then applied to join the army. So prior to joining, I studied for a degree in medical laboratory technology back in my home country in Ghana. Having joined the army then in 2002 and not registered with HCPC, there was a need for me to do supplementary education in order to get myself ready to register with HCPC. So I did a bit of additional training and myself came through University Hospitals Birmingham then qualified with HCPC in 2005. I was then assigned out of Birmingham to go and work in Frimley Park Hospital. Mm-hmm. And since then, I've done various assignments with defense units. So 33 Field Hospital, as it was then in Gosport, back to Frimley Park. Interspersed with that, I've done various deployments. And as I've risen through the ranks and commission, I then found myself back in Birmingham looking after military BMS training. And so that's where my journey with or as you say, my encounter with Rohini started, because she arrived at the same time as I had also arrived in post to look after military BMS training. And so that has been my journey so far.
Brilliant. And what was your role in this specific partnership, in this project, Francis?
So I was then, so from 2020, as Rohini said, I was then in charge of military biomedical science training, and we have a contract with UHB to deliver the practical elements of our training for us, and the academic bit is delivered through Aston University. So my role was basically I was the manager looking after the military BMS trainees, managing them and providing holistic management to them, not just their training, but their career, welfare, safeguarding, everything.
Brilliant. And what were the biggest challenges from your perspective that you faced and overcame during this work, Francis?
The biggest challenge, I think, that we all experienced was COVID striking then, and as we all are aware, resources being prioritized to service delivery, and so training did suffer then. But yeah, we had to cooperate to work through the challenges. And so, yeah, I'd say COVID was the main challenge for us then, and it wasn't just about impacting on the practical training delivery, but even on the academic side of it, also it was a challenge as students were required to work remotely rather than accessing face-to-face training, which was new to a lot of people then. So COVID was the main challenge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you adapted to that quite well. And maybe, is there anything that kind of happened during COVID that has changed the way training takes place now? Is there more of a kind of focus on the remote element because of the kind of liberation of technology, or is it kind of back to normal and kind of pre-COVID times?
I think it's driven our use of technology. As I said, a lot of people, working remotely, attending lectures virtually wasn't something most people were used to. But I think now it's become the norm. And what also has helped, especially for us in defense, is that because of COVID, is driven a lot of investments in IT. So almost all defense workforce now, now have some kind of IT device from which they can work from, irrespective of where they are based. And so in that regard, even though it was a challenge, I think equally there are a lot of positive that has come out of that. And also through that, it's also driven a lot of collaborative work as our civilian colleagues as well.
Brilliant. And you won an award for this project, Francis. Can you tell us, what from your perspective, why do you think it stood out from the rest of the entries? What do you think makes it special?
Yes, so I think the multidiscipline aspects of the training, and then also the fact that we are able to deliver. We are able to schedule and deliver training on time. So as we said, even with the challenges of COVID, we still work together to ensure that registrants were able to achieve qualification in time, because any delay would have meant that they could not be assigned to start their work in defense, which again would have caused a lot of reverberation effect. And so at first, the multidiscipline aspect of the training, I think helped us to stand out, and then also I think it brought to generated a lot of awareness. Certainly for us in defense pathology, I think it helped. It brought defense pathology to the fore. I don't think out there a lot of people really have an understanding or appreciation of what we do in defense. I think this award really did brought us to the fore, and then I think within the year or so there have been other engagements with the IBMS as well. So I think all in all, it's sort of registered us in the minds of people. Yeah.
Brilliant. And any advice for other people who are either entering into kind of partnership work or collaborative working? What advice would you give people, Francis?
So we think they have to commit to it, and I know across hospitals, various pathology departments, the workload is ever increasing, and everybody is struggling with workforce. And so, as always, where there's high demand for resources, it's easy for training to be relegated. I think if we embrace it and understand that, I mean, the people we are training today are going to be the workforce for the future. And then, in as much as we are busy, we will still commit ourselves to it. And so that will be my advice. That we see the trainees of today as the workforce for the future, and so we should always try and prioritize training and focus on them as well.
Perfect. Francis, that's a really good, optimistic, positive note to end on. So, Francis, thank you so much for your time today. Rohini, thank you so much for your time today. It's incredibly appreciated. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, please visit the podcasts page on the IBMS website for all previous installments. And if you'd like to listen live while we record, then please keep an eye on the IBMS social media feeds at the start of the month for details about the next IBMS Chat, which will be recorded live on Twitter Spaces at 8 p.m. on either the first or the second Wednesday of the month. Thanks again for listening.